Next item is the consideration of minutes. Have you all read the minutes?
Motion to approve.
There's a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes pass. Are there any Metro Council referrals?
I see Councilmember Cupin here with us today, and I think that is all. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to?
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Would you like to address the board?
Good, afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. I'm Councilperson Jacob Cupin for District 19, and here today to speak in support of the Downtown Partnership's efforts to manage the Riverfront Park. I've spoken to a large amount of community members and stakeholders who are very excited about this, as we know this is a park in the core of our downtown space, and an area that people are very excited to see the activation of, and the Downtown Partnership has done a phenomenal job with Church Street Park, and so excited to see their efforts continue. So just wanted to share my support today for that effort, and I can appreciate all your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. Are there any other Metro Council referrals? Okay. Next, we'll have the public comment period. It's limited to 20 minutes total. Persons wishing to provide comment on matters that are germane to items on the agenda must sign up prior to the meeting. The beginning of the meeting on the sign-up sheet provided. And we have 4 people who would like to speak. So we can start with you, Mr. And just a reminder that each person has a limit of 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm glad to see Mr. Cupin here and Tom Turner from the Downtown Partnership.
Can you just state your name?
Oh, Steve Reiter.
Thank you.
R-E-I-T-E-R for the record, I'm sorry. I don't know what your guidance or what your policy is regarding this type of transaction. This is really kind of new to me. But I do think this is can really set a precedent. I heard Mr. Cupin say, oh, there are a lot of people who are in support of this. Well, I think there's some people who have some really deep concerns, and I'm one of them. One of the problems is a lot of people probably can't be here today because this is held in the middle of the day. So I'm respectfully requesting that you have a special meeting and have it in the afternoon or in the evening so more people, you can get some public input on this. This is a big change. This is something that to me is a big precedent. I'm not aware that this is in plan to play or any sort of thing like this. This is new, and if this is the first step to maybe a privatization of parks, we have all sorts of parks here, and parks are not an enterprise fund. They are a public good, and when we start turning them over to other organizations that might have a different view of things, managing in their interest rather than the public interest. It's like I say, parks are not an enterprise fund. Certainly golf courses make some money, but parks don't. And understand the challenges that you do have in the budget. But I don't think this is the answer. But I think the public has a right to be able to address their concerns on this, because I'm sure I'm not the only person. I think there's a lot of people out there going, what? And this hasn't been in the media that I'm aware of. And so then when this happens, and I don't know if this is an MOU, I don't know if this is a management contract. I guess Tom Turner can address that, or Metro Legal. But I don't even know what it is. And that's a real problem. Understand they want to hire a director, manager, and some staff and everything else. That's a big change. If I have an issue with the park, I'm supposed to contact the partnership and not the parks. I mean, this is really this concerns me. So please, if you can, schedule another meeting so we can really get more public input. I think my time is up, but I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ritter.
Oh, it's Reiter.
Reiter. Sorry.
Thank you. That's
Thank
okay.
you. We have Albert, and I can't read the Bender. Okay.
Yeah, Albert Bender.
Welcome. Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, and I don't expect that I will need 2 minutes. My name is Albert Bender, and I'm a retired attorney and also chairperson of the Indigenous Peoples Coalition. And to cut right to the chase, I am requesting that a certain waiver of the rules be instituted in order to show good faith toward the indigenous community, because my subject of my discourse today is to request that for an agenda item be on the August agenda for the renaming of Cumberland Park to Wasioto Park. And this is something that is of great, great import to the indigenous community here, and it will be a showing of good faith to the indigenous community, because the area that we're talking about sits on top of an ancient Native American metropolis that housed over 400,000 people 1,000 years ago. And so that is the subject of my discourse to the board today, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. Next, we have Lorraine, and again, I'm sorry, I can't read the handwriting. Segovia Paz.
Perfect, thank you. Sumas Punchay, Noga Lorraine Segovia Paz Cani, Noga Hoskolyak Tapi Pagagar Cani. Good morning, my name is Lorraine Segovia Paz. I was born originally in Cusco, Peru, the land where the Incas founded their civilization. Last year, during Native American Heritage Month, our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Foundation led a group of community members in the fields of business, education, arts, and media to visit the First Peoples exhibit at the Tennessee State Museum. This tour was guided by Cherokee descent historian and advocate Albert Bender. Our goal in mind was to learn about the rich history, heritage, contributions of the indigenous communities from this side of the Americas, but especially to reconnect with them, with our brothers and sisters. Visiting museums and learning from their exhibits are always inspiring, provoking deep conversations, leaving you hungry for more. From that experience and connecting it with the immigrant experience, I can tell you that many of us that come from the Americas are indigenous descent, myself being 79% Quechua. In Nashville, we have people that have migrated from Guatemala, Mexico, and other countries from the Americas that are indigenous descent. In many instances, they do not speak Spanish, only their native languages. As immigrants, we go through different phases within that immigrant experience, including finding an identity, not only a human identity, but also our immigrant identity. That means finding our roots, connecting with our roots. Unfortunately, in our countries of origins, we are forced to deny our indigeneity. We move to this side of the world thinking things are different. Renaming Cumberland Park to Wasioto Park here in Nashville will recognize a space for those who, for many centuries, have had their voices, stories, and experiences not just hidden but ignored. Because of the creation of those spaces and their histories have been written by those who were privileged and empowered. So I respectfully ask the members of the staff and the board to place our request on the agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Next, we have Melba. Sorry, I cannot read their Eads. Chakotay Reads.
Okay, thank
Welcome,
you.
you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. His Che is Stongo Chojeftikos Melba Shakoti Eads, and I'm a citizen of the Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma, and I live in Woodbury, Tennessee, and I drove through the traffic to be with you today. And listen, I'm going to stay in Woodbury, but I have a connection to Nashville because I have lived here since 1993, and I've been a wonderful advocate for indigenous empowerment. And this opportunity to be recognized in some form, which we have advocated for a long time, 1993, I had no idea, but listen, we're still here and we are here. And we respectfully ask that you will give us an opportunity to be on the agenda in August to address the naming of an indigenous park to its original Shawnee name. And so it was called that when Nashville was founded, and so we'd like to return that name. And so we just respectfully ask your awareness and your opportunity to do this for us. Thank you so much, Mado.
Thank you, thank you. Next, we're going to move to old business. 062406, the Nashville Downtown Partnership requests approval of 2-year pilot program for expanded service delivery at Riverfront Park. The service area would encompass the grounds from First Avenue on the west, Church Street to the north, Korean Veterans Boulevard to the south, and the general park boundary to the east. This is in Council District 19. Staff recommend, there's a recommendation from staff.
Yes, staff recommends approval, and as requested by this body, additional detail has been included in the proposal. It's included in your packet. I do want to reiterate that this space will remain public access. The public will still have access to this space. It is probably the largest venue that we have in terms of event reservations in the park system. And so that will remain. And so coordination with our staff, our special events staff, and Nashville Downtown Partnership is also included in the details. Additionally, this agreement, it is a pilot, and I just want to reiterate the level of activity that could begin down at Riverfront Park is beyond the level that we are able to activate it. That's one of the most positive parts about this. This again will still remain open public property, and then too, should the Parks Board or certainly us, the Parks Department, see that there are, this agreement is not working, then you do have the ability to end the agreement at any time. So staff recommends approval.
And just to clarify, the scope, it's not an MOU, it's just an agreement to be.
It's an agreement.
Yeah.
It's an agreement, a pilot. And I'll say, this kind of mirrors, I think it was 2018 or 2019, we had an agreement with a pilot with Nashville Downtown Partnership for Public Square Park. And so they coordinated with our special events staff, so we were still able to reserve that space. The public was still able to reserve that space. But when the space was not in use, there are all kinds of activities that took place. There are movies, different kinds of programming just to activate that park, and it was successful. So this basically mirrors that. The Parks Board does retain authority of this space. So that will not change.
Okay.
Just to repeat it, it's a 2-year pilot. So if it's not working, 2 years is when we would reevaluate.
It's a 2-year pilot, so at 2 years you would evaluate it, but if in 6 months we saw it was not working, we could terminate it or revise it or whatever, however you saw fit.
And in terms of transparency and understanding the scope of work, we have access to the scope of work as Parks board members in our packets, but if the public wants to see the scope of work, can you clarify how they would be able to see it?
Yes, they can make that request to our office. Larisha Travis, who is my assistant, will provide that. Her email is larecia.travis, Travis, @nashville.gov. So simply making a request for the document, they can receive it.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Chair, I just also wanted to note, I did give Mr. Ryder a copy of that this morning. He requested a copy, and he also got a copy this morning.
Okay, thank you. Is there more comments or questions?
I move approval.
Okay,
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
I'd like to just make note of my recusal from the item.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, moving to item 062407, staff requests approval to accept a proposed dedicated conservation greenway easement as part of a self-storage development to be located at 304 Oldham Street on parcel 082-110-15000 as part of the project's approved preliminary SP rezoning. The easement is on 0.1554 acres in Council District 5. Does staff have a recommendation? Oh, I'm sorry. This went to our acquisitions committee.
Absolutely. This item went to Acquisitions Committee. We had unanimous approval for recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? It hasn't been.
Motion.
Okay, sorry, that was quick. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'll take the consent agenda. We have a number of items on the consent agenda today. Are there any changes to the consent agenda?
No, none.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. New business, item 072402, staff requests approval of a memorandum of understanding between Metro Parks and Metro Nashville Fire Department to operate on a portion of the property located at Cornelia Ford Air Park, 0 Eastland Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee 37206. The location includes dedicated Nashville Fire Department office space and parking space. The old control tower building will be maintained by the fire department as outlined within the conceptual site map. The fire department will oversee continued maintenance and cleaning of the old control tower and will be responsible for all the utilities. This is in Council District 6.
Staff recommends approval, and I will add, Madam Vice Chair, that this is a great opportunity for a vacated Metro building to be used for a business purpose. Director Chief Swan is here and can speak to how positive this arrangement is for his needs and his overrun office space. And I'm glad that we have this space available and we're able to work that out. So again, staff recommends approval. Director Chief, if you would like to speak.
Welcome, thank you.
Good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to come before the board. First, let me just really express my gratitude with having the opportunity to come and speak, but also more importantly, as we know, they don't make any more property and no more space. So the fire department has expanded considerably in the last few years, especially from the fire marshal's office. So we were trying to find a space to be able to still function properly and be able to produce great works for Davidson County. So when this opportunity came about, we know that it was abandoned, it wasn't being used. So we took the time to really do a true evaluation of it. We refurbished it so that, as that expression, we'll find it, we'll leave it better than we found it. Our staff will operate out of there. It would be our fire investigators and also from the fire marshal's office, as well as investigators and inspectors. That gives a lot of assurance in that area because we'll also be able to if the need happened. I think they had an event the other day where they had an emergency, so our people were there to actually be able to help render that. But more importantly, it gives us the space to be able to function properly, to be able to expand our department, and also be on the location to be able to assist in any other means. So this is a temporary opportunity for us. We understand that this is borrowed property, and we respect that. We appreciate our relationship with the parks, Monique Odoms, and so many other individuals that we work with. So again, we refurbished that spot and made it hopefully a lot better than it was originally. There, it will be occupied by our investigators and inspectors. And we wrote in the agreement a 10-year opportunity, but we understand if something were to happen in that spot and space needed to be used by the parks, we would just ask for adequate time to be able to leave. Now, we are in the process now of in talks of our new headquarters, which will be off of 2nd Avenue. And at that time, we will be able to put all of our fire officials in that location. That means the admin and the fire marshal's office. But right now, I think it's a beautiful relationship. We work closely with parks. You guys have always come through for us. I'm also over the Office of Emergency Management. When we have emergencies, we utilize under the care of Monique, parks in order to house people that are in crisis. So again, we've got a great relationship, and this, I think, this solidifies it. We'll be good stewards, and we'll take care of the property and take care of the people there on the premise as well.
Thank you. Thanks for speaking. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Next, we'll move to special presentations. Greenways and Open Space Division will present the annual update to the board. Cindy Harrison, thank you. Is there a time limit? Okay, you've got 7 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to talk quickly because I have so much to share. But I'm very happy to share the annual report for the Greenways and Open Space Division with you today. I know Jackie will speak to this in a moment, but July is National Parks and Recreation Month. And with the theme of Metro Parks are where you belong, and certainly Metro Greenways are where all of Nashvillians belong. The Greenways and Open Space team is honored and passionate to plan and create these linear parks for Nashville. Linear parks that are barrier-free spaces for the young and the young at heart, cyclists and pedestrians, our dogs and our wildlife, lovers of the outdoors, seekers of a path to healthy living, conservationists who value our natural resources, and people who just want to get out and have fun. Before we get started, I do want to recognize 2 guests today who are leaders of 2 groups that are instrumental in the success of our work. First, Jeannie Nelson, who's the chair of the Greenways and Open Space Commission, and Jacob Kassinger, who's the president of Greenways for Nashville, our nonprofit friends group. Key takeaways, in case I run short, that I want to make sure you all have today is information about our expanded team, the partnerships that we've developed throughout Metro and beyond, the development of the City Central Greenway system, our current capital projects, and also a focus on the projects that we're partnering with private development to expand our Greenway system, and then finally the direction that we're headed with our Greenway system. Get rid of that. So, all right. So first, just to run you through how we're organized, if you remember in 2022, the Metro Council and the administration made 6 new positions available for the Parks Department in the Greenways Division. And we have filled 7 of those positions. We have 1 that we're still working on. But of course, the Metro Nashville Parks Board is the head of our group. Our Greenways and Open Space Division is adjunct to the Park Board. And we report directly to Director Odom. So the Greenways and Open Space Division is led by myself. And we have two basically teams within our larger team. We have the project management team that manages design and construction of greenways and planning of the actual greenways. And then we have our planning team that reviews plans that come in through the Planning Commission. They're working on our master planning process, both in-house and through our consultants on Plan to Play. And supported, so those are, let me just call them out, our two senior project managers, and y'all can just raise your hand behind me. Logan Elliott and Emrita Chatterjee are managing our design and construction. David Diaz-Barriga and Erica Green managing planning and master planning. They're supported by Joanne Conley and Coco House, and are yet to be filled, but soon to be filled, Technical Specialist 1. This team, our team together, is a team of landscape architects, an attorney, and urban planners who are very passionate about this work. It's a little hard to read, but I do want to give a shout out to the Greenways and Open Space Commission. If you aren't familiar, the commission is comprised of 8 citizens who are appointed by the mayor, 4 council members, a member from our Parks Board, and that's Ed Henley in this case, department representatives from Metro Water Services, Metro Planning, MDHA, and the mayor's office. Also attend, obviously, the Parks Director and the Greenways and Open Space staff. So our mission is expanding the Greenways network, expanding open spaces for all of Nashvillians. Originally, we were focused, when the division started 30 years ago, focused on the water corridors in Nashville, and we've expanded beyond the major water corridors to minor corridors and into the urban setting. We have trail-oriented development that is happening. We're expanding the city central greenway system and continually seeking to conserve and create open spaces. So I want to talk a little bit about the City Central Greenway. So this is a planned 35-mile loop system around the urban core. As we began to put together various greenways, we realized the opportunity to create this loop. So it's comprised of 5 greenway corridors: the Cumberland River, the 440 Greenway, Charlotte Corridor Railway Greenway, Browns Creek Greenway, and the Gulch Greenway, and then connectors that will go out into neighborhoods to tie all this together. So it's a 35-mile plan. Right now, we've got a little under a third of that that's completed just by the efforts that's happened in the past for these greenways. So I mentioned partners. We could not do what we do without the partnership with all of the agencies and organizations, and I probably left a few off, but hopefully not, that you see up on the screen. Metro Planning, Metro Water Services. If you don't know, because many of our greenways are in floodways, floodplains, buffers, or adjacent, we do a lot of our work with Metro Water Services, and through their efforts with the volunteer flood buyout properties, we've been able to have space that we didn't have to purchase, that we've been able to successfully build greenway trails. One of those we're working on now, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a moment, is the Whites Creek Greenway that will extend the greenway at Hartman Park and Community Center. Of course, the Mayor's Office, Metro Council, the Parks Board, Greenways for Nashville, our Greenways and Open Space Commission, the Metro Sports Authority. Right now we're working with them to open the greenway behind the First Tennessee Ballpark. Of course, the National Development Community, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. Other nonprofit organizations as well, and Metro Legal, who keeps us hopefully on the straight and narrow as often as possible. So I'm not going to read all of this because I'm going to take these one at a time, but want to go through the status of our greenway system today, our greenways and open space system. Sorry, that's hard to read. We have 10 green mile segments and 1.71 miles currently under construction. Those include the Metro Capital projects, Cumberland River Greenway at First and Gay Park. I took a little liberty there. We're getting ready to start construction on that soon. Brookmead Greenway redevelopment, and the Browns Creek Greenway at Fair Park just recently opened, but we wanted to make sure and include that. It's one of our first phase 1 and phase 2 first projects on Browns Creek. And then through projects developed through public-private partnerships include several on the Cumberland River. And as you can imagine, it's in an area of town that's quickly developing. So a lot of those are along the Cumberland River. That includes Madera, Germantown, and Madera Nations, multifamily, a little bit mixed-use projects. I mentioned First Tennessee Park. That greenway behind the ball field for years was closed during events. And the only way to utilize that was if you had a ticket to that event. So we have a development team building a multifamily project kind of out in left field. And with that project, they are building an additional stretch of greenway outside of the fencing so that that greenway will be open 365 days a year with no ticket required. They've designed that, are building it, and will maintain it, and all at the cost of the developer. Many of these projects that we're doing with private developers that's the case there. So we continue to either own the land or have easements on the land, and they're providing those services for us. So in addition to those, we have the Cumberland River Greenway at Peabody Union. Some good photographs of that. That's a rebuild of the existing greenway with some additional public access trail space there. New City, Newhoff development down in Germantown, and then the Ben Allen trail-oriented development that's happening out near Ellington Parkway. So in addition to those under construction, we have 15 greenway segments that are in design or final permitting, and those make up about 12 and a half miles of greenway. Again, I'm going to show you some slides of these, but capital projects that we have happening right now include the Charlotte Corridor Railway Greenway, the 440 Greenway. We have 2 segments from Sevier Park to Browns Creek Park, and right outside our door, Park Plaza down to Centennial Park. The Whites Creek Greenway at Hartman to Buena Vista, the Opry Mills Connector, and our first participatory budget project on 7 Mile Creek. And then through private development, several segments of the Cumberland River Greenway, as I mentioned. In the future, rebuild of the Gulch Greenway behind 11 North Apartments, Ariza Bellevue on the Harpeth River, which will also bring another 20 acres of open space. 2 projects on Pennington Bend and the Richland Creek Greenway at Bellmead Plaza. In 2023, we added almost 37 and a half acres of open space to the system. I'm not going to read through all those, but you can see the stars that show you the way those projects were located. And we've got several acquisitions happening in 2024. I'll get to some of those easements in a moment. Some of them we're still actively working on, so I'm not going to talk about today. But that gives you an idea of how these are scattered throughout the system or throughout the county. These are 37 different acquisitions. I think we're higher than that now just because we've got more projects coming through the Planning Commission approval process. But what you see here amounts to 175 plus new acres of open space for the city. So quickly, hey, Larisha, how am I doing on time? Okay, thank you. I'm going to run through our capital projects then. The Charlotte Corridor Rail with Greenway begins at 28th Avenue and will connect over to the farmers market. So that big green arrow shows just a swath of how that greenway will layout. It parallels the Cheatham County Rail Authority rail line. That rail line will continue to be active and will be in their space. We're working with them right now to iron out an easement agreement. In addition to those major connections, landing in the farmers market gets us connected onto the existing greenways, gets us to that First Tennessee Park Greenway, and on over to the Cumberland, to the future Oracle Bridge. And with the addition and construction of this, a person could get on the 440 Greenway at Elmington Park and bike out to the Percy Priest Dam on a greenway, which is pretty cool. So continue on the 440 Greenway, Sevier Park to Browns Creek Park. Again, this will connect our community center to Gale Lane Park, the green in the middle, over to Browns Creek Park. This is being constructed in, for the most part, within TDOT right-of-way. So a project that doesn't require us to purchase property, so we can focus our funding on design and construction of the trail itself. That design should be finished here in another month or two. We're in permitting right now and finishing up design and hope to have capital dollars to complete that project. The 440 Greenway, again, outside our door, extends the 440 from Elmington Park, gets us into Centennial Park, where trail users can use the facilities within that park to continue on over to West End. This too, we're wrapping up design and should be ready in the fall. All right, I'm going to blow through a few of these. I want you to see some of the private developments that are happening. This is the Greenway over to the right. You can see the trail behind First Horizon Park. The Cumberland River Greenway at Peabody Union, you're looking to downtown, and you can see the pathway under construction. And looking back, how that will interact with the development itself. Very much activated by mixed use happening there, the stairs coming down, there's an overlook over the Cumberland River. All of these projects built and designed, built, and maintained by the developers. This is Richland Creek at Bellmead Plaza, where the rear side of this existing development is just pavement. They're coming in, removing that pavement, adding a greenway, revitalizing the creek, adding landscaping, and really creating a whole different atmosphere there. And I don't want to leave out projects that have been recently done because they were so important, really the catalyst for us doing these projects with developers. So the Gulch Greenway at Frankie Pierce Park gave the Parks Department land for a new park, a partnership in building that, and an extension of the Greenway over to Charlotte Avenue. And the Gulch Greenway at Asurian added a new trailhead space, art. The ribbon cutting was attended by hundreds of people. And this is what that Railroad Trail Greenway looks like today with landscaping. It's adjacent to the railroad, which is pretty cool. And you see the development happening in the background. Greenways for Nashville is upgrading our trailheads. 10 have been complete, 30 are underway. They are taking all of this on themselves in partnership with us, updating graphics, site furniture, and structures. We do have new Greenway maps. I'll hand those out as I finish up. We're excited to give those to you today. Greenways for Nashville made sure those happened. And then quickly where we're headed. Strategic planning. We're entering our plan to play update. In-house, we're looking at all of our Greenway corridors, doing site analysis on those, working on open space acquisition priorities, working with the mayor's department to find the places where we can make quarter-mile and half-mile connections via sidewalks and bike lanes to greenways, looking at transit stops, especially with the new transit, if the new transit referendum passes, those opportunities. Because our urban greenways are used and will continue to be used at night, we're looking at lighting those. So the 440 Greenway that we just spoke about will be lit. We'll need to address operating hours with you all. Right now, most of our greenways are dawn to dusk, and we know people are going to use those after hours, especially in the wintertime, and they need to be safe and usable. We are expanding our design standards and looking to work with the with the planning department to develop more stringent policy with developers that allow us to automatically get space to put a greenway. Whereas now we have those conversations and we've been pretty successful, but it is one project at a time, working with individual developers to make that happen. And then on our own, we're also looking at who's using our greenways, trying to collect user data to understand better who our trail users are, addressing safety issues, minimizing user conflicts through our design, and of course, always getting public input. Thank you for letting me go over a few minutes. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
It's a lot.
Thank you for what you're doing. And I mean, you're kind of flying through so many projects, and I know each one of those projects takes a lot of time. So,
Yes.
I know that's a lot.
And it's really, I do want to impress the capital projects that we have our own funding on. We certainly manage those from beginning to end. The private development projects, we spend as much time or more on those because we start with those when they begin at the Planning Commission process. We follow those with comments and interaction with the developers to make sure that greenways are being accommodated the way that they should be. And so we stay with those through their final approvals, and then we're meeting and working with the developers on the design to make sure that those are designed like we want them to be. We monitor construction to make sure they're built, and then hopefully we have a ribbon cutting. Everybody comes out and thinks it looks really easy and looks great, and if so, then we've done our job.
Right. Well, thank you for doing that. I love the vision of riding a bike or walking from Elmington Park all the way to the Percy Priest Dam. That's extraordinary. And that's a great.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Any other questions or comments?
No questions. My comment, though, is just to, again, highlight the commission. Representing our board on that commission, you do get to see the amount of hands that come in and take a lift. And I know it's only a small glimpse of all the work that's being done, but I think it's also something that's really special to see different perspectives, the amount of appreciation, the amount of commitment from the volunteers that serve on that commission.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we are going to have a presentation from Friends of Millridge Park, the annual update. Mr. Hawks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Director Odom and Parks Board. I'm Darrell Hawks. I'm the Executive Director of Friends of Millridge Park, and I'm grateful for having this, my 7th annual report to you all. Friends of Millridge Park began in 2017 with startup support from the Josie Davis Foundation. Our mission is to enhance and advocate for Millridge Park to strengthen the community in Southeast Davidson County. I like to say that our obsession is our community, and we serve the community through activating and caring for the parkland. Since 2018, despite the park having only been open for about 10 months, since 2018, we have facilitated recreation and conservation activities year-round for over 20,000 park visits. We've cared for improved acres of parkland and waterways. We've activated green space with acres of gardens and miles of primitive volunteer-built trails. And we've generated over $2 million in private contributions with 5,000 hours of volunteer support at the park. We have a 16-member board of directors who are representative of our community from business and nonprofit and green space experiences. And we have a growing staff that is, as of today, 6 members strong. That is not our staff pictured there. That's why our staff works, however. And our staff does include interns from local metro schools, and we're glad to have their expertise as youth advisors in the work that we're doing. For 2023, our financials include almost $1.5 million in revenues. Of that revenue, $400,000 was for operating, and over $1 million of that was from a restricted capital donation from the Frist Foundation. Our expenses for the year were over $330,000, with assets at the end of the year of $1.3 million against liabilities of $2,300. I want to point out 3 milestones from the year since we last were together in this setting. The first was in August. Our bell ringing ceremony attracted some nearly 300 members from the community, including some of you, where Director Odom spoke to the community among some other presenters. And we invited little ones from our community who skipped school for the day to bring about the opening of the park for the community. And they led us in a bell ringing ceremony, as you see here on the left. Shortly thereafter, we brought the community back together with nearly 2,000 members strong to celebrate the opening of the park at the end of September for a grand celebration where we had performances and dance, we had crafts and games, we had a family and friends 5K, we had yoga and Zumba, as well as refreshments on that occasion. And then also we were happy to celebrate the official opening of the Crossings Trailhead at Mill Ridge Park, which is located on the northwestern portion of the 622-acre parkland in Antioch. This development was a partnership between Friends of Mill Ridge Park and Metro Parks. We fundraised the $70,000, $80,000 that it took to build out that access point, which provides access to over 5 miles of primitive trails that have been built by volunteers. Coming up in the year ahead, we're excited about a partnership with the National Recreation and Park Association that has allowed us to design and launch a new program we're calling My Outdoors. And MY is an acronym for Mentoring Youth. This program focuses on school-aged youth in partnership with Metro Schools to get little ones outdoors in community and incorporating wellness and social skill sets to ultimately curb their risk of using and abusing substances. Secondly, we're excited about back in May having hosted the first brunch and breakfast at the barn. Some of you were in attendance. And that was an occasion for us to share with the community an initiative led by Friends of Mill Ridge Park in partnership with the Parks Department, whereby the board approved for us to design and fundraise for the development of a community space, renovating a 5,000 square foot barn into a space where we can host year-round park programs, seasonal garden and farmers markets, as well as public and private events on the parkland. And then thirdly, I'll point out Pear Jam at Mill Ridge Park. The first annual celebration of community at Mill Ridge Park will annualize and mark the celebration of the park opening just last fall. And so this will be an occasion for us to come together with food and music and dance, games and crafts. And it takes inspiration from the natural and agricultural history of the parkland, which includes prickly pear cactus, as well as pear trees in our orchard. And of course, Jam is inspired by Music City. Here you see some local artists who performed at our grand celebration. And I'll conclude with an invitation for you to join us any week of the year, year-round, for any of the activities that we host, including outside cinema. This was pictured a few Fridays ago. I'd like to point out that while CMA Fest was happening downtown in Antioch, 300 members of the community came out to watch the movie Migration and enjoy, because it was National Donut Day, enjoy donuts. So join us at Mill Ridge Park. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. That was really, yeah. Thank you for what you're doing. It's a really special and unique park for our system. Thank you.
We agree. Thanks.
Just brief comments. I think it's really exciting to see, I think really the mission of Mill Ridge Park is really creating that space that area of our community can come together, enjoy, and be activated. I know a big push for the Parks Department many years ago was just equity in our park system, and some of that just truly has to be done geographically. And I think identifying that location is great, but the programming, the work that you're doing to make it an activated space and a communal space is great.
Thank you. Thanks for your leadership in that area.
And really quickly, this park holds a special place in my heart, as you know. And so I see the amazing activities that are happening out there every day, and I visit as often as I can. So thank you so much, Daryl, for all you're doing to maintain this space for our city and for our community. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your support. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is capital projects update from Joe Stovall.
Good afternoon, all.
Good
I
afternoon.
will second everybody's notion. Daryl is very easy and fun to work with out there. He does a fantastic job for the people out of Mill Ridge. I'll go over some major highlights in the capital projects areas. We are 90% staff review of the design of Mariposa, Fort Negley, and Mill Ridge Phase 2. I'm proud to say that we have the master plan work has been started. The PO has been issued. Sunnyside opened on July 29th, had a fantastic event. If you haven't had a chance to go by and see it, it really turned out well. The band shell is almost complete over at Centennial Park. We did a complete renovation of that. So that'll be put in service for everybody to use July the 12th. July the 12th, excuse me. And last but not least, Old Hickory Community Center, the demo will start on July the 8th. So not this week, but next Monday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. So excited about that. And then we go before the Metro Water Board on July 10th for a variance for Shelby Stream Bank. That's the last permit approval we need to move forward with that. And then, of course, the mayor's participatory budget projects. All the design has been approved and POs have been issued. We're looking to start construction in September or in October on McFerrin, Coleman, Dudley, and Southeast Community Center. Timothy Park is going to take a little longer to get the equipment, so we're looking to start that in December or January. So I'd like to take any questions.
Great. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next, we have Jackie Jones reporting on upcoming special events and activities.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am excited, and I hope you are too. July is Parks and Recreation Month. Park systems throughout the country are celebrating and emphasizing their programs, people, and activities. The theme this year is Where You Belong. And the goal is to tell our story utilizing both traditional and social media outlets with the emphasis on our programs and our staff. Now, somebody asked me not too long ago, is there going to be a special event? Are you guys going to do a special event for Parks and Recreation Month? My answer to that was no, simply because we have programs, special events, and activities throughout the park system each and every day. And let me give you an example of what's going on in July. On July 4th, of course, you have the fireworks downtown, but you also have the Music City Hot Chicken Festival at East Park, and I'm going to go through these very quickly. The outdoor cinema, as Daryl referred to, at Mill Ridge Park on July 5th, I believe it is. And on July 6th, we have the big band dances at Centennial Park. We also have on July 20th, the Cornelia Air Park concerts at Shelby Bottoms. Also on July 20th, the 92Q Family Day in the park at Hadley Park. Then there is Tales at Twilight at Centennial Park on July 26th. And on July 27th, we have the Southeast Community Day, again at Mill Ridge Park. Now, those are just a few of the example of things that we have going on almost each and every day at Metro Park. So we think every day is a special event here. For Parks and Recreation Month, the mayor has filmed a PSA that is up on our social media platforms, and I invite you to take a look at it. It's a great PSA. We will have videos and photo profiles of various staff members, as well as information on program and activities throughout the course of the month. Now, you as board members can help us raise awareness of Parks and Recreation Month by doing something just very simple. On your email signature, if you would put July is Parks and Recreation Month, Metro Parks is where you belong. That goes a long way in helping us raise awareness to your groups, your constituencies, the people that you communicate with on a daily basis. I also encourage you to visit our Facebook page, our X, or what was formerly known as Twitter, and our website, and our Instagram account too, because that's where this is going to play out for the most part. We've seen an increase in engagement, and we hope that will continue. Now, I'd also like to introduce you to our new public information officer who has been working diligently on Parks and Recreation Month. Her name is Raina Mitchell. Raina, will you stand?
Yeah.
Raina comes to us from
Welcome.
News Channel 5.
Thank you.
And we have already, she's taught us a few things. So we are very, very happy to have her. So in the next 28 days, look us up on Facebook, look us up on Instagram, and look us up on Twitter as well. And I'd like to give you some food for thought or food for consideration, if you will. It's just a little fun thing. How many songs can you name with the word parks in the title without Googling it? Think about it.
Oh, these reports are always so entertaining, and your enthusiasm and passion, I think, Jackie, is so infectious. So thank you. Any questions or comments? Next is the report of the director.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And I'm not as enthusiastic or colorful as Jackie, but at the risk of redundancy, it's Parks and Recreation Month, y'all. Please go out and enjoy the park system. Don't be surprised if you get emails from me inviting you to attend specific events. This past weekend, we had a couple of openings. As Joe mentioned, the ribbon cutting of Sunnyside Mansion on Saturday was very successful and well attended, and we are glad to support our partners at the Metro Historical Commission. For those of you who have not had a chance to go over and tour the building, I would encourage you to do so. I'm willing to go back with you. They have now, I think, the best office space in Metro. So, I told them that there could be threat of them being evicted by Metro Parks. No, just joking. We also had the reopening of the Percy Warner Golf Course this past weekend. As you all know, our Friends of Warner Parks were our benefactors in that, our partners in that. And so I know that was very well attended. I'd like to really give a shout out to the Conservancy for Centennial Park for stepping in to help make sure that the Celebrate Nashville Cultural Festival continues this year. As you all know, I mentioned in February, we were working through some administrative processes to make sure that festival occurred, and we're still working through some of those. But in the interim, the Conservancy has stepped in and will help with putting this very important festival on for us this year. We are in the second day of fiscal year 25, so we're rich today and we'll be poor tomorrow. At any rate, our staff is working to close out FY24, all of those year-end processes and transactions. That will continue probably over the next month, and then we will officially, probably on paper, begin with FY25 transactions. We are in the preliminary phases of planning our next Parks Board field trip. So we are looking at locations that would be good for you all to visit, or operations too, that would be good for you all to visit and get some insight on, some that we may not have visited before, but then some other pieces that we may need to revisit again. So be looking forward to us sending out some dates of when we can get you all to go on that tour. That is all that I have. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Any questions for the director? Great. Next is announcements, requests for future agenda items, or any open items.
I just have a question, and it might be because my lack of knowledge, but it definitely is because of my lack of knowledge. There are 3 people today who asked for an agenda item in August. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, because I don't know how any of this consideration of renaming parks happens, what the normal process is. So could you explain to us what the normal process is before we determine if we should do that in August?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. The Parks Board does have a renaming process. And I'll send that policy out to you all. And that occurred, you all may recall, those of you who are on the board now and have been for some time, did revise that process. It was the naming process. You did add a renaming provision as a result of the request to rename Hadley, now Hadley Lillard Park. So that request comes forward. I will speak with the chair to determine how we move forward, but then there is staff evaluation. There is just for, since this one would have historical implications, we would reach out to the Metro Historical Commission for their recommendation and justification. Then bring it to the Parks Board. You would defer it to the naming committee, and then work through that renaming process that's outlined in that policy, which includes community input. There is a provision also in that policy that should you decide to move forward with renaming, the parties that requested renaming would bear all costs associated with, changing signage and all of that at the location. So there is a process outlined in your policy manual. I'll send that out to you all today.
So I want to be respectful of the 3 people who asked for that to be on the August agenda. Sounds to me like that might be premature, if I'm understanding.
Yes, sir. Thank
you. It's a good question.
Well, one other comment on that. I think just to be clear, I mean, it was about a 6-month process last time when we went through this, but it was pretty important to get all the stakeholders, and in this case, historical folks. So it's certainly worthy of consideration, but it's a long process.
Yeah. I think it was longer than 6 months. I think it felt longer. No, it was, I think more than a year. Any other open items? I wanted to just report that the ad hoc sponsorship committee met. Pete DeLay was on that committee, as well as staff members, and we had a lively discussion and had made some updates to the guidelines, and that will come back to everybody here via Monique. So I think that was helpful. I think it was a worthwhile exercise, so I feel good about that. And seeing no other open items, we'll adjourn. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.